Now, I know that TNA is a business, and such they have every American right to do what they see fit to do. But if what I've read is true, which it apparently is, they have re-signed Hulk Hogan to an undisclosed deal. My question is simply, why? I know that Hulk Hogan is one of the biggest names in the industry, and I know without him, wrestling probably wouldn't be where it is now. That all being said, why on earth would you resign this man who honestly hasn't raised your company to new heights? Other than what I like to call the nostalgia bump, there hasn't been a significant jump in ratings since he and Eric Bischoff, who I'll get to a little bit later, showed up. In fact, the in-ring product was actually better before he and Eric showed up. Oh, I know that Vince Russo is to blame here too, but despite crazy writings and bookings, TNA was still watchable. Oh, by the way, on a side note, I just learned that Vince Russo is no longer the head writer for TNA, but he's still on the writing staff. Well, it sucks that he's still there on the writing staff. However, the fact that he's not head writer, it's probably one of the best moves TNA has made in a long time. And that's all I'm going to say on Vince Russo. Now, on their shows, I might find one or two segments that are actually tolerable or even interesting. The rest you can usually flush down the toilet. And I've come up with 4 points to show Hulk Hogan hasn't helped TNA one bit since his arrival. When he and Eric Bischoff came in, they basically tried to recreate the NWO with Immortal. And I'm sorry, if anyone tries to tell me that that's not what they were trying to do, get a clue or go shoot yourself. But at best, it was a weak attempt to rehash something that was successful at one time. That time is over. The NWO was innovative for its time. Now, I will say this, having Jeff Hardy turn heel at that time was a nice attempt to recreate that magic. But let's face it, Jeff Hardy turning heel doesn't have the same impact that Hulk Hogan did. Just doesn't. Number 2, they take away the six-sided ring. The one thing that made TNA stand out from WWE, Ring of Honor, and every other promotion in America. People knew it was TNA when you saw that ring. Now, by giving it the more traditional ring, they look like everyone else. Number 3, you get guys from WWE or other areas becoming TNA champ like RVD, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, who actually didn't mind being champion, but they made him look so damn weak, you could forget him about ever being champion again because he wouldn't be credible. Other guys like Kurt Angle, who also I can live with him being champion because he could still go. But then they put it on guys like Sting, who at this point in his career should be pushing other talent instead of trying to be the talent or be the man. In fact, with the exception of AJ Styles in 2009 and Samoa Joe in 2008, everyone that's held that TNA title in the last 3 years has been a former WWE or WCW star. Also, if you go further back, the majority of the TNA and NWA, when it was under the NWA banner, world champions were former WCW or WWE stars. I think AJ Styles, and I guess you could count Ron the Truth Killings, though he was a WWE guy before that as K Quick in 2000 and 2001, were about the only guys that held the belt that weren't WWE or WCW made. TNA has a history of pushing these former stars before Hogan showed up, and it didn't get any better after he came there. Now, I understand name value and star power. I understand that. But you should be using that star power to create new stars, not bury them. Now, I know at this time they are pushing Bobby Roode to a TNA world title push, and I sincerely hope he wins at Bound for Glory. But also they hope they give him a real push, because if recent history is any indication, don't expect Bobby Roode to be pushed properly if he wins that belt. Now to number 4. Why does TNA want to push this idea that Hulk Hogan is so valuable that he needs to be kept? Now, from what I've read so far, his contract was actually going to expire this week, and that may have put their Bound for Glory match against Sting in jeopardy. Now, I'm all for showing what is advertised, but you know what? This is one time they probably should have let this one die, because we're still a little less than a week out from that event. That's more than enough time to get Sting another match that might actually be of interest, or even push young talent like, I don't know, James Storm, Kazarian, D'Angelo De Niro, maybe even Mr. Anderson, if he wasn't in that program with Bully Ray. Another YouTuber, the Lex Man, made this point, and I totally agree with it. Hogan versus Sting wasn't that good in their primes. Remember Starrcade 97? I do, because one of my stepbrothers ordered that pay-per-view, and that pretty much turned him against WCW. It had crazy build-up, some of the best I've ever seen. But if I could channel a little Dave Chappelle for a minute, it sucked ass. I call it, and still call it, the worst main event in history. I mean, I would rather watch John Cena versus JBL from WrestleMania 21, or Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 20. That's how much I hate that match. Now, I won't say they haven't had good matches. Their first encounter in 1995 on WCW Nitro was good, and so was their Super Brawl 98 match. But I wouldn't call any of their bouts a classic. They sold only because of their names, but make no mistake, their matches together were just good at best. Now, with both men past their primes, you want to put them in the ring together when their matches weren't that good in their primes? Are you kidding me? Them being on the card isn't going to get you buy rates, and it isn't going to do what both should be doing, and that's creating new stars. Plus the fact that Hogan has had several back surgeries in the last 10 years or so, he doesn't need to be in the ring. And honestly, TNA should be pushing for him to be in the ring. Now, I may not like the man's character right now, but he's letting his ego get in the way, and I don't want to see the man get permanently injured just as a human being. I mean, because that's what's in danger of happening. So, with all this evidence around, why do they keep Hulk Hogan around? I mean, same goes for Eric Bischoff, too. Now, I'll give credit where credit is due. Eric Bischoff did revitalize WCW and did make them competitive with WWE and even dominated them for a good while. But what TNA seems to ignore is the fact that Eric Bischoff is one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons WCW died. As AJ Styles so eloquently put it, and I'm paraphrasing him a little bit, EB, along with several others I might add, took a multi-million-dollar company and put it out of business. Now, I know it was ultimately the Time Warner AOL deal that killed WCW, but even before that, it was already on life support and was actually losing money by 2001. Since then, Eric hasn't done anything significant other than his WWE run. Why keep him around? As far as Hogan goes, the last time I know of him drawing any major money was in 2005 when he took on Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 2005. Since then, other than his tours overseas, what has he really done? Nothing. Yet TNA keeps him around, and I suspect it's for his name value, which he does have. I'll still say that. The name Hulk Hogan, people know that. You got people that don't even watch wrestling, but they know who Hulk Hogan is. But name value is only going to get you so far, and it's only going to get you to first base. And TNA, Impact Wrestling, you've been at first base for quite a few years. Isn't it time to make moves to take you to the next level? I hope this push of Bobby Roode is the beginning of that, but something tells me don't get my hopes up. Well, that's all on this rant. See you later. Peace.
you.